What's up, everybody, and welcome to another Seven Figure Photographer Live. It is just me today. I'm here to hang out with you guys. Unfortunately, Mia is not here today. She won't be here to respond to any comments, but if you guys do have comments, please make sure to leave them, and I will do my best to respond to them. Mia's off on vacation in Cancun. That lucky bugger. Anyway, today we are going to do a little Sync 2023 recap, and we're going to talk about whether or not you should even go next year. I'm going to give you my honest opinion. Of course, you guys are going to have the opportunity to make that decision for yourself. But here comes our intro. What's up, guys? For those of you who don't know me, my name is Sam Marvin, and I have been in the photography industry for 25 plus years. While I love being a creative, business is my passion, and elevating the industry of photography is my focus. I created the Seven Figure Photographer to share my journey to seven figures and to help others find their way too.
That's amazing.
All right, well, let's get started. Today, honestly, this might throw me off a little bit. Normally, and maybe I'll even look at the camera more. I'm always oftentimes watching for Mia's reaction or her eyes. Like sometimes she'll roll her eyes at me or she'll just do certain things and it'll just throw me off. But that's kind of, I tend to focus on her instead of looking at the camera. But today I went back to some old setup and I've got everything all set up with some notes and everything. And today is going to be a good one. We're going to talk about Sync. If you were there, great. If you weren't, you missed out. There was a lot of good stuff. But honestly, I think everybody, no matter what the situation, it's going to be different. Where, like, what events you go to, all that stuff's going to have something different for you, depending upon where you're at in your life and like what's going on in your life. So, welcome, Tim. Again, for those of you guys who are here hanging out with us, please make sure to comment so that I know you're here. Tell us where you're watching from. I'd love to see that, and we'll definitely respond as much as we can. Tim says, what? Mia's not here. That's it. I'm gone. Figures, Tim. No, Mia is in Cancun. She's enjoying the sun and the beauty. And so, yeah. Tara, Rudy, welcome. Glad to have you here. So, Tara, I'm glad I got to see you at Sync this year. We didn't get to talk a whole lot, but I was glad to see you there after all that you went through last year. So congrats on making that happen. I know that was a hard year. So, okay, so today we're going to talk about Sync 2023. Was it worth it? Should you go next year? And honestly, I got to tell you, the very first thing on it, I wasn't sure that I was even going to go. I didn't have a roommate. I didn't have everything set up. In fact, right at the end of December, Mia looks at me across the desk and says, are we still going to Sync? Like, you haven't done anything. You haven't set anything up. You haven't planned anything. And I was like, yeah, we're going. But then she kind of cued me in on, it's only a month away, or pretty much a month away. And I kind of was like, oh, shoot, I wasn't ready for it. So there was a lot of things that were kind of standing in my way. Obviously, the resort or the hotel was booked up. I didn't have a roommate because of the last minute, and I failed to get everything ready because of the way the rooms worked out. And Mia had some other stuff going on, so I didn't take Mia. And so I went on my own. And there was a lot of great in that because it gave me a lot of opportunity to think about a lot of things, just to really have an experience without any additional input or thought. Mia is very, like, she kind of helps me with a lot of thought provocation, I guess you would call it. We talk a lot about business stuff when we're on the road. We talk about things that we can do to change, what we can do better, the things that we're doing bad. All those things are things we talk about. This year it was a little bit different because I was on my own. It was really just me in my own head, and that kind of gave me that opportunity to really focus on a lot of those things. And I got to be honest, I wasn't really looking forward to going this year. I was afraid when I went, I was going to get plenty of questions about why isn't Mia here? Where's the rest of your team? All that stuff. And that was really just honestly me being the amazing planner that I am, and I kind of dropped the ball on things. So I was being lazy. Mia says it's because I wasn't going. Everything is more fun. A little bit of Annie. Yes, that is true. So, um, honestly, the night before I left, we were sitting down eating dinner. Annie was actually there, and I made the comment. I said, I think I'm gonna stop. I think I'm gonna give up 7FP. And of course, I got a lot of, what would you call it, like opposition. But that's kind of the headspace that I was in. I probably wasn't really ready to go to sync at the time. I was really thinking, contemplating some big changes in my life, and really just kind of moving some stuff around. And my focus, because of just kind of some of the stuff I've been going through in the last 2 years, has really kind of changed. And I didn't really understand where that change was, but I just had a lot of questions about the direction of my life. And I knew that I wanted to simplify a lot of things. I've always had so much going on in my life, and sometimes it just becomes chaotic. I have a tendency to just really overdo myself and put too much on my plate. And so there was a lot of question about what I wanted to do with the direction of my life and where I was going to cut the fat, if you will. Obviously, I haven't cut any fat. But where was I going to cut the fat? 7FP was one of those where it was like, you know what? I put a lot of time and effort into 7FP, I've been kind of lazy this year, I'll be honest with you. I have put a lot of time and effort into 7FP. The reward has been good, but not quite. And we're talking not only just like monetary reward, but also kind of the mental payoff, that kind of aspect. And it just hadn't really matched where I kind of wanted to be at. I was on to some new ventures kind of in my life. I was thinking about some new things that I'd been working on that I really didn't think had much to do with Seven Figure Photographer. And so that's just kind of where I was at. Now, the first night that I was there, honestly, I was so tired. I think I stayed up pretty late the night before I left. In fact, I didn't get a whole lot of sleep. Got on the airplane early in the morning, flew all day long. When I got to the hotel, immediately when I walk in, I saw familiar faces, which was exciting. But I was like struggling. I was so tired. My eyes were blurry. People were like saying hi to me, and I was just kind of blankly staring at them. And so it was kind of weird, but I think it was really just a lack of sleep, and I don't know what else, but I just was struggling. Literally my eyesight was like blurry, and I was like, okay, this is really concerning, but got a good night's sleep that night and woke up feeling a whole lot better in the morning, and I could see things again. But that first night there, it reminded me of why I go to sync. One of the greatest parts about it, and I think the one thing that you just can't duplicate anywhere in the world, is something like a family reunion or sync. And honestly, I love my family. I've never been to a family outing that makes me feel as fulfilled as going to sync and seeing my people at sync. So anyway, that's kind of that first night. It really kind of woke me up and reminded me of why I was there, and I was excited to be there. Now, obviously, I want to talk about some of the speakers. Now, the speakers, I think, were absolutely incredible. Darty does recycle speakers a lot, and I sometimes, for those of you who don't know, most of you on here know, Darty is one of the owners of Sync. He and his wife, Michelle, put it on. They do an incredible job, and I'm going to talk about that here in a little bit more. But he does have a tendency to recycle speakers. He also is one of the national events that gives speakers their first time opportunity, like me. And so, like, I guess overall, I wasn't that excited about Sync. And I think mostly because I had kind of dropped the ball on getting everything done and ready. I got to Orlando in the airport. I got out of security, and I was like, crap, what's the name of like the place we're going? Like, I hope I flew into the right airport. I didn't even check before I booked my flight. I didn't really know exactly where I needed to go. So I got on my phone, I started looking it up, and I was like, oh, thank goodness I flew into the right airport. That's how like disconnected or lack of preparation I was. But I did notice every one of the speakers were incredible. They did an incredible job, and I'm going to talk about a few of them. But the resounding theme that I kind of heard at Sync amongst people talking and things happening, and honestly, it was kind of a "You're killing me, Sam. What did I kill you for?" You're going to have to expound on that one, Amanda. The resounding theme that I was really hearing a lot of was that the focus was changing from average sale to profit per hour or average profit per hour. What money are you making based on the hours you work? And I think that that's really, really profound because honestly, when you think about it, an average sale could be amazing, but how many people, and I'm not like, how many people have had like 10, 14, $20,000 sales, and that's literally all they did for the year? And when you're working 40, 60, 80 hours a week and you have a one $20,000 sale, or even like a couple of $7,000 sales and not very many, if you're happy, great. But what is your cost, or what is your average profit per hour? And that really just made a whole lot of sense to me. And it kind of helped me kind of change that. I didn't, Amanda. I didn't know those things. It really helped me change kind of some perspective on that. I've always focused on really raising that average sale, but I've also always focused on the cost of doing business per hour. That's always been one of my biggest focuses. Now, I do see it a little bit different. What is our average profit per hour? How many hours are we working, and what does it really bring us to? If we make $100 in a day, but we've worked 10 hours and the day cost us, just to average it out, $50, that's really only, what, $5 an hour? Yeah. So I'm not good at mathing, guys. I shouldn't math in my head on a live. It's a terrible idea. But anyway, you can kind of see where I'm going with that. The idea is that being able to understand what your average profit per hour based on the number of hours you're working. And it really just kind of aligned with my whole feeling and my heart in where I'm at with my business and kind of where I'm going with my business, and in simplifying a lot of things. Now, obviously, this comes because of a selfish desire. I want to spend more time with my family. I want to spend more time on my boat, but I still want to make the same amount of money. But honestly, at the same time, the money is not nearly as important to me as that quality self-time. And I think that that's a huge thing for me. And a lot of people have had a big disconnect with me because they're like, Sam, all you care about is chasing that dollar. I don't necessarily just care about that. I want quality of life. I get that, and I totally understand that. Everybody's different in how they have it, and it's not necessarily a bad thing if you make $100 a day, as long as that works for you. Some of the speakers I want to talk about, Matt Hoagland. Matt was really worried because he was like, man, nobody's going to want to hear my talk, but yet I heard from so many people talking about Matt's talk and how they kind of were like starting everything off with, I need to change everything, but the first place I need to start is with what Matt was talking about, making sure that I can save for the future, plan my retirement, those kinds of things. So Matt did a great job. He broke some things down, and I really liked what he said. There was only one thing that I felt like wasn't kind of expounded on, and I know Matt works in a kind of one of the least or less risk. So they have less risk in their investment, whereas I think that sometimes a lot of people have that whole mentality of, if I just pay off my house, I won't have a house payment. where in fact, actually, if you just pay the minimum on your house, get it paid off, and use the additional that you might have paid on your house as an investment, even in the stock market, which has an annual expected return of at least 8 to 10%, your money's going to be better made there. I don't want to talk about finances because that's kind of like completely out of the world, out of like the whole concept of what we do here. Megan DiPiero, she spoke, and honestly, I loved it. There was a lot of things that I gained from it. Her and her counterpart, I can't even remember her name, but she spoke right after Megan. And honestly, like there was a lot of talk from people that were kind of put off by Megan's and her counterpart's talk. And Jesse Novell. Again, I loved it. It was right up my alley. But I think a lot of people were like, okay, this is stupid because it's way outside of like where I want to be or what I ever expect will be reality. Megan does kind of have like the my shit don't stink mentality. I love it, but I can see how it would put people off, especially with the spread of how many people are there at Sync just for the purpose of bettering themselves, where versus the number of people that are there that are like making shit happen, and they're there really more for the people. Jen Lewis spoke. She did a great job. Jamie Ellis, of course, is always amazing. She was great to listen to, and I just love her weirdness. Aaron Adams was great. Unfortunately, I only got to see him for a tiny bit because there was another speaker in the same time as him, and so it kind of threw it off. But I love Aaron Adams. But the speaker that really spoke to me, and I don't know why this is, it always seems to be the last speaker at convention or conference, but Dan McClanahan. And I'm going to give you a little backstory on Dan McClanahan. Dan, last time I spoke with Dan, I talked to him at Imaging about 3 years ago. And I hadn't really heard or seen from Dan much, but he shared with me his new plan at Imaging. He was like, I just want to spend more time with my family. I just want to work a little bit less. I want to do things easier. I want to quit trying to jump through hoops to make everything happen for people. And I just want a better quality of life. Okay? That's like aligns with how Sam's feeling right now. And I think that's why it was so impactful for me. But when I talked to Dan back at Imaging, I was kind of like, dude, you're crazy. This isn't going to work. I didn't want to tell him that because I don't want to be the first one to say, hey, like you might be going off the wrong path. But he did it and he made it work. I got to tell you, there was so much inspiring listening to Dan and just his simplicity and his desire. His desire is different. Again, he kind of aligned with where I've been feeling my world's been going, with more of that simplicity, that simplifying my life and really focusing on the important things in life, which a lot of you guys are already focusing on. I just struggle with making the right focus. So Dan's talk was amazing. I even got an opportunity to sit in the sports room and listen to a couple of sports and volume photography things. Honestly, it intrigued me a lot. There's some things that I'm interested in trying out with that, but it's not really necessarily my MO. So that's kind of like the speakers. I think the speakers were great. The one speaker that I wish I would have gotten to hear, Christy, maybe you can share this with us. Everybody loved her. Like, she was probably the most like hyped speaker. Like, everybody talked about her. Like, she spoke more to everybody's level. And I didn't even get to hear her, but I know that she was one of the ones that talked a lot about your average profit per hour. Casey, what was Casey's last name? I think that's it though. And I think I don't even know why, but I happened to go into the sports one for that one, and I think the topic name, which this is really interesting, but just the name of the topic didn't. Yes, Casey Dittmer. That's who it was. It didn't appeal to me as much as something else. And I can't even remember what it was, but I just remember coming out of there feeling like hearing everybody talk about it. And I was like, man, I had bad FOMO. I missed out on something good. So I want to talk about some of the amenities of the event. Honestly, the one thing that just capped this event off, and I hope that this isn't just because it was the 15-year anniversary. They, of course, went overboard with some stuff because it was a 15-year anniversary, and it was great. But the drinks in the conference room, I didn't have to leave to get a Diet Coke. That was amazing. It's the little things that matter. And Darty, if you ever listen to this, that was an amazing touch. Again, I loved it. Just being able to get up and go grab a drink, even if it was just water, which we've always had ice water in there. That's always been a part, but this opportunity, or this time, they had drinks in there. So little bottles of Diet Coke or cans of soda. I know some of you guys from the South are like, a Coke is a Coke. Everything's a Coke. We talked about this, but Diet Coke is just a Diet Coke. So so that was kind of like, I know that's not really, that's kind of some of the amenities. I really enjoyed the space. I'm going to talk more about that here in a bit. Let's talk about the hotel. Honestly, I was underwhelmed at first. There wasn't a ton on site. It wasn't a huge place. One of the reasons I didn't really want to go to Sync was because of the room situation. I didn't want to necessarily just room with somebody I didn't know. Honestly, I was terrified to room with somebody I didn't know because I snore, and many of you got to hear that story. There was a lot of reasons that, like that aspect, I didn't want to go because I was like, I was so used to having that room layout to where I could get 3 rooms for the same cost as a 2-bedroom like hotel room. And it was such a, like, I know Darty hates Sandestin anymore, but it was beautiful. There was so much there that I loved until last year when we couldn't get toilet paper, but there was so much about it that I was kind of skeptical and almost a little bit of a party pooper about. I have to tell you, the beds at the Rosen Plaza, I slept incredibly well. I don't know if that had to do with anything else other than they were really comfortable beds. And it was a great amenity. The rooms were really close to the conference center, so I didn't have to walk 6 miles across the resort campus to get there. I didn't get a chance to try out the hot tub or the pool. There was too much wind out there, and I personally hate wind. But there was a little something of everything there. The one thing that I absolutely loved, they had a little like storefront thing, like a little convenience storefront that was open 24/7. And that was awesome because I was honestly the last one to leave the foyer most nights. So the Rosen Plaza, like I said, I wasn't impressed at first, but I knew that when I heard Darty mention on Facebook that they were the first hotel that they'd ever been to where they came in and unloaded everything for them, I knew that was going to have some big impact on Darty. But it was actually kind of funny. We were standing in the announcement for what was coming in 2024. And in my mind, I was like, okay, there's no way that they're going to do it here because he had already sent out a thing asking about locations for the next year because Darty always wants to. Last year was the first time Darty ever had gone or like didn't announce where next year was going to be at the convention. And I think everybody was shocked by that. And then with all the changes this year, he was like, no, there's no way in hell that's ever going to happen again. So I was like, okay, just because they unloaded things and he really enjoyed that experience, you can't tell me that he's just going to cancel any contracts with other places. But maybe he did. I don't know what happened. But I looked over at Josh Peterson and I said, I got $20 that says that it's not going to be here next year, and he says, I'll take that bet. And immediately Darty announced that it was going to be back at the Rosen Plaza, And so I gave him my $20. Um, so he was like, I think that's the first bet I've ever won. Anyway, so there was a number of great things about the Rosen Plaza, and I'm gonna save that for the very end because ultimately I want to kind of give the good and the bad of it. My biggest qualm about the whole experience, I got three. Number one, there was not a whole lot of room over by the convention area. There was plenty of room, and I gotta say, this was the first trade show. I know Darty always talks about the biggest trade show in the Southeast, whatever. I don't know. I've never thought it was that spectacular, but this was the first time that I went to the trade show, and I was like, okay, new ideas started flowing, and I've struggled with that for the last couple of years. Trade shows haven't done a whole lot to encourage new ideas in my mind. This year, for some reason, some things happened. I had some great conversations, got to see some great products, and a lot of new ideas came to me. So number one qualm, there wasn't a whole lot of room, mainly because we didn't have the opportunity to have the multiple rooms. I didn't get to go to Disney, which I was kind of like, I wish that I would have, but I didn't plan anything. So everybody else was coming in, like talking about how tired they were because they got to go to Disney. So that's something that I would probably want to do next year. And my number one biggest beef with this whole thing was that sports got tables in their room. That's my biggest beef. And I know apparently it costs more. I'm sure you probably can't fit as many people in the room when you have the tables. But I went to a couple of sports just because I wanted the table to make some notes and to do some work as I was in there. And I, like 2 years ago at Sync, the very first one back from COVID, we got tables and we had assigned seats. It was the best thing that had ever happened. I didn't ever have to fight for a seat. I had a table. I took more notes than I've ever taken in my life. Today I had to go back and look at my notes, and it was like 4 lines long. And I was like, crap, that's all the notes I took? They're all up here. But yeah, I know there's a story about the tables. But I'm just saying it was like I was butthurt when I walked into the sports room and saw that there was tables and we didn't have tables on our side, because it just gives me so much, like, I just feel like I'm in my office and I can work and get stuff done. I mean, like taking notes. And when I get an idea, I can immediately just go do it. But I'm a fluffy dude. I can't hold my laptop or my iPad on my lap when I'm like, it's just annoying. So bring back the tables. Darty, please give us the tables. If you could do one thing, I don't care. Charge us an extra $20 a piece just to bring back the tables. I'll pay it. Maybe the rest of you won't. So those are my only 3 qualms, and they're really dumb ones. To be brutally honest, they're really, really dumb ones. And I'm going to talk more about why they're really dumb. Sync this year, I have to tell you, it realigned my mind like nobody's business. I felt like I went to Sync kind of begrudgingly. I wasn't ready to be there. I hadn't planned anything. I was stressed about stupid stuff. My head wasn't in it. When I got there and when I came home, my mind was on fire. It was like every convention I'd ever been to that really just got me pumped up and ready to go, but Sync does it better than any of them. And I just felt so lifted up because of the people that I love, and literally they feel like family to me. I have to tell you, the night before I left, when I was talking to my wife and Annie about giving up 7FP, and they of course fought me on it, I was like, it's just not like, there's not that many people that watch this. But when I got there and I literally got to hear all weekend long people that I'd never met in my life, I don't know how they were there, and I got to meet people, or how they were on 7FP, and they came up to me and said, "Hey, I really enjoy listening to your." Everybody called it a podcast, but that's fine. I'm probably just going to start calling it a podcast because it's easier. So many people came up to me and said, "I really appreciate it. You've helped me a lot with things," and that meant the world to me because I've honestly felt like this was doing nothing, and so like I said, I was kind of onto a new venture. I didn't know how it was going to work into my normal business stuff. I didn't think it had anything to do with 7FP. Sync kind of realigned my mind. It really gave me some insight into why this new venture has so much to do with 7FP, and I'm really excited about it. I'm not going to tell you guys about it yet, but I do have a little something for those of you who do want to know what's coming. And I'm not going to tell you right away, but if you want to be the first to hear about it, I'm excited about what's coming. And if you want to be the first to hear about it, I'm going to let some people know a little bit ahead. Just text, tell me more, to the number I just posted in the chat, 208-328-5263. Just text, tell me more to that, and you'll be the first to know about what's coming, but I'm excited about it. Like I said, Sync really helped me realign my mind, helped give me clarity on things, and for that, that is something you just can't pay for. I've gotten that out of a lot of education, a lot of things, but that was something that just really hit. Some of the opportunities, some of the conversations. Christy, Bradley, and I got to sit down and have some incredible conversations together. Me and Gina Golden and her new beau, Brian, those people, all of you. Tim, I got to have conversations with Tim and Amanda. All of you guys, it was great, and I really enjoyed all of it, but those conversations mean the world to me, and it really just kind of reinvigorates your mind. And so ultimately, the things that I wanted to get back to about the hotel and whether or not you should even consider going next year, the hotel was one of the biggest things that I just didn't like it. It felt like it was going to cost a whole lot more for a whole lot less. And after being there was a couple of things I considered. The food was a little bit less expensive than any that I've been to. And it was actually tasty. Like, it was good. The food at the old, at Destin was kind of just blah. And last year, I think everybody got food poisoning from one of them. Thank goodness I dodged that bullet. But the food here on site was great. There was a lot of options just across the road and down the road. There was so much. It was so well centrally located that I actually quite loved it. The other thing that I loved, man, if you want to delete your comment, you can. The other thing I loved about the Rosen Plaza, everything was so close that I didn't every year I go, I'm like, 2 years ago, I bought a brand new pair of shoes before I went. That was the biggest mistake I ever made because I knew I was going to be walking so much. I was like, I need new shoes that haven't broken down yet. This year, I was like, oh crap, like these shoes, I hope they're good enough, but I don't want to buy new ones because I don't want to go through what I went through. I didn't feel like I was like miserable walking everywhere. My feet weren't killing me. You really did retract your message. I never ran into other sinkers. You did? Oh, outside? Yeah. But the thing that I did love so much about the hotel and the room situation was that I think it was unique in the way that it forced all the people down to one place. And so you had an opportunity to see people better other than at meals, at lunch. because so many times in the rooms that we had, where we had the 3 rooms and a big front room or living space inside, there were certain groups that would convene together. And like even Gina had her little studio secrets get together. And it was done right in the foyer because they didn't have the big room. And I think that what I liked about that was that it stopped people from, like, some of the people that you wanted to hang out with or that you wanted to rub shoulders with. It stopped them from hiding away in their room with their group of friends or their followers or their whatever. And it really brought everybody down into one place. And I thought it was great. I really loved it. Maybe I'm the only one, but I thought it was awesome. There was a lot of great space other than when they took the chairs and the tables away at the end of the weekend, along the convention area for people to just kind of hang out and talk. Everything, as always, I'll give a big shout out to Darty and Michelle. It blows my mind. It's amazing how they put together such a well-oiled machine with just the 2 of them. I know they have helpers a little bit, but for the most part, like, can we just talk about well planned out, well executed? I think they do a great job. And I think part of it has to do with they bring together my family that I love so much into one place. I think that it bothers me that I only get to do it once a year. And I wish we could have sync like twice a year so that I could, see those people again. So the question is, should you go to sync in 2024? It is going to be held at Rosen Plaza again. And I think that you absolutely should go. Find a roommate. Honestly, I got to room with David Beckham, and I was terrified. But I would suggest do it again. Find somebody that you've never roomed with before and room with them. You're either going to hate them or you're going to love them. I enjoyed hanging out with Dave. Well, we didn't even hang out a whole lot. Like, I went to bed at like 2, 3 o'clock in the morning. He was already in bed. He'd get up and leave at 6 o'clock in the morning. I'd get up and leave at 7 or 8. And other than like just the couple of fun little conversations we had, or when he'd ask me how late I came in the morning, in his funny little way, find a roommate. Like, find somebody different and experience it. I don't know how I ever got to the point where I was like dreading or not really wanting to go to sync this year. Because afterwards I'm like, man, now I remember why I love that place or why I love those people, why I love being there. And so without question, absolutely, that was kind of a little bit clickbaity. Should you go? Darty probably saw it and is like, I'm canceling Sam. Hopefully he watched it and got to the end where I said, yes, absolutely, you should go. I think he announced a lineup of speakers for next year, which is really great. Unfortunately, I didn't get to go to any. I didn't because I wasn't well planned out. Not sync. I wasn't. I sucked at planning my stuff for sync. I didn't go to any of the the jump starts or anything like that. So that was my own bad. I sucked at it. But should you go? Absolutely. I'd love to hear what some of your guys' favorite parts of sync were. I mean, you're welcome to even share like your not so favorite part. I wish it wouldn't have blown so much. I hate the wind and I wanted to go sit in the hot tub or go swimming, but it just didn't. It felt kind of chilly outside. There were, I think one of my other qualms is there were so many other people around. Obviously the cheerleading people, that was some fun experience I'm not going to talk about because I don't want Darty to punch me. You should totally go to sync. It's the best conference hands down, in my opinion, no matter where it's at. Yeah, I agree. I do like flying into Orlando was a whole lot easier than flying into Destin. I think that made up for a lot of things. I didn't feel like I was in Florida. I didn't spend much time. I didn't spend any time outside either because the wind was bad. And I just hate wind. But I did go outside. We went to dinner the first night, and it was like beautiful out. And by the time we got out of dinner, it was like pouring rain. I was drenched by the time I made it over to a bird just flew into my window. By the time we made it back to the hotel, we were absolutely drenched. So, but again, all the meals, I do wish like there was a little bit better option with that, because I feel like I didn't really get to have meals with all the people, like, because those are like my favorite times, eating lunch or dinner with people that I love. But honestly, just getting to spend time. The football game was fun. I don't even remember who won. That was my own fault again. I'm just kidding. I do know who won. But it was a fun event. Other than my mouth was on fire from those hot wings, that was terrible. Yeah, it's a great event. If you guys have never been to Sync, go. I think everybody on here has been to Sync, so it's kind of a pointless thing. But I'm hoping that somebody will watch this at some point in time and decide they want to go to Sync. That was one of the funny stories. I actually met a young lady who was actually, there was more than one, who was like, yeah, I found you on YouTube and I watched your YouTube about something, and that's how I found 7FP. And then you mentioned at some point in time, you mentioned Gina Golden's Studio Secrets, and they started coaching with her. And I was like, wait a second, hold on. Like, did you not like realize that I do coaching? Maybe I need to share that a little more. But so Gina, you're welcome. I teased her about it. I told her she owes me some like kickback for that. I got her 2 new coaching clients. So yeah, I suck at that. Anyway, that's all I got for you guys today. I hope you enjoyed it. I'd love to hear your comments after the fact, or send me a message. Remember, sorry, I keep twisting the Sharpie lid. If you guys want to know about what's coming, I'm going to be announcing it here pretty soon, I think. The new addition to 7FP. I think it's pretty exciting. I think you might love it. So if you are interested, make sure to text. Let me know. If you get, or tell me more. Wow, I'm sucking at this. If you get the text messages already, if you got a text message this morning letting you know about today's event, we did just switch over to a new text messaging provider or text marketing provider. And so I sent new ones out from that line, 208-328. You can just reply back to that line directly and just say, tell me more. We already got a few of you coming in. So that's it. That's all I got for you guys today. I hope you had a wonderful week. Last week we had, what was it, President's Day? And I'll see you again next Monday. The other thing, actually, before I end this, that same phone number, if you guys have input on when you would rather see the lives go, I would love to hear it. Like, text that number and just tell me, hey, 3 o'clock in the afternoon or Tuesdays at 1 p.m. I don't so much love the Mondays anymore, mainly because I feel like I'm coming out of the weekend unprepared, and I hit Monday, and a lot of times our holidays fall on Mondays, and so we end up missing out, and it just kind of throws off my groove. So I'm considering a change. Think about that. Send a text message to that number that I listed on here. Tell me whatever you want on there. If you just want to say hi or send us a message, feel free to do that right through that number. So now that's it. Amanda says, my only thing was that you were in the middle of a huge city and so didn't venture out walking around to kind of check out Florida. I didn't like the resort. Feel better. Yeah, the resort, it didn't feel like a resort. Yeah, I know the time zone specific probably should be time zone specific. Well, if you send me a time, I'll probably ask you what time zone you're in. But yeah, if you do think about it, send your time zone with your message. Okay. I just bounced around a lot right there, but that's normal for me, right? All right, guys, that's all I have for you. I love you all, and peace out, Girl Scout. What's up, guys? For those of you who don't know me, my name is Sam Marvin, and I have been in the photography industry for 25 plus years. While I love being a creative, business is my passion, and